Welcome to Chat with Charlie on Mum Matters, the real talk podcast for mums navigating the beautiful chaos of motherhood. I'm Charlie, mum of 5, here to help you feel more confident and less overwhelmed from pregnancy to those am I doing this right moments we all have. We talk about the stuff that no one prepares you for, so go and grab a cuppa and let's dive in. Hello, lovely. Welcome back to Chat with Charlie on Mum Matters. I'm so happy that you're here again today. Today, we're talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough airtime, the natural birth recovery. And I don't just mean the physical stuff, although we will get into that. I mean the emotional recovery, the identity shift, the bit where you're expected to just, crack on. Because I think this is the thing that no one tells you. Just because you didn't have surgery, it doesn't mean that your body didn't go through something massive. Just because you could technically walk to the toilet afterwards, it doesn't mean that you're just fine. And just because everyone else seems to bounce back, you know how much I hate that term, it doesn't mean that you should feel guilty for struggling. I think everyone has their own struggles, and that's okay. So if you've had a natural birth or you're about to, then this one is for you. I want to tell you my story about my natural birth with my first baby because it did not go how I expected. I was just getting ready to go for my baby shower. I was like 37 weeks pregnant at this point. And during my baby shower, I kept saying to my mom, I've got like weird pains, like very light, like period pains. Lo and behold, he decided to come, my beautiful firstborn decided to come the next day after my baby shower, 2.5 weeks early. I was not ready for this. I hadn't completely finished packing my hospital bag. And I know it probably should have been packed by the door by all the advice that I give now as an experienced mum, but as a mum that hadn't been a mum yet, I packed all the essential things, but there was a few things that I wanted to chuck in at the last minute, and I hadn't managed to do that yet. I hadn't mentally prepared myself. I thought I had more time. And then suddenly, I went to the toilet, did a wee, and the wee kind of like continued. I was like, this doesn't feel like a wee anymore. My waters broke while I was on the toilet and I was in labour. Now, everyone told me the same thing. First babies take forever to come. You'll be in labour for hours. There is plenty of time. Even the midwife in the hospital couldn't be bothered with me. I was 1 centimetre when I went in, and she said that I would be there for hours. First baby takes forever. And she left. She walked off, left. But my contractions were getting worse and worse and worse and worse. My mum was there with me and my husband, Aaron. And my mum said to the midwife, are you sure she's still just 1 centimetre? She sounds like she's much further along. And they kept fobbing us off. No, just 1 centimetre. I was in agony, just on gas and air. Because I was only supposedly 1 centimetre, I wasn't allowed anything more than gas and air. So I was just, the pain, I felt like it was like an out-of-body experience. But what the midwives didn't realise is there wasn't actually plenty of time. I progressed so quickly that the next time the midwives came, I said to them, I feel like I need to push. And they checked me again, and I was 8 centimetres dilated. He came so quickly that there was no time for an epidural, even if I wanted one. And honestly, the whole thing just felt completely surreal. 1 minute I was home. The next I was holding this tiny, weeny human and thinking, what the hell just happened? I felt like it was happening to someone else. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was still going to work at this point. I wanted to work until the end, literally, which I did, just a little bit sooner than I thought. I was still training the person at work that was meant to be taking over from me. It was a really, really mad experience. I felt in shock. I felt like my body had been through so much. But first baby, everyone around you is so excited and everyone's acting like you're supposed to be celebrating when I feel like I've just been knocked over by a bus. And then came the recovery. I had issues healing. Breastfeeding was a battle. He kept falling asleep at the breast, and I had no idea if he was getting enough milk until the health visitor came round and told me that he'd lost more than 10% of his birth weight, told me off. I felt like I was failing, literally failing. I can't do this mom thing. I felt rubbish in myself. My baby wasn't feeding from me. I was being told off by the health visitor. And I turned to my husband. We had some of those little Cow and Gate bottles ready, the ones that are pre-made. And I told him to give me the bottle. How can I think about healing, about looking after my baby, being a new mom, breastfeeding when it's not working, when everything feels like it's going against me? So we were now bottle feeding. And that did make me feel a bit better. And there were the visitors. Wave after wave of people wanting to meet the baby. I was sitting there, barely able to walk to the bathroom, wondering why no one had warned me about this part. So if you're listening to any of that and it sounds familiar, then let me tell you this. You are not dramatic. You are not weak. You went through something so huge. There's this strange, unspoken hierarchy about birth. Like, if you had a C-section, you're allowed to recover. And I've had C-sections too. If you had a natural birth, you should be fine. And that's just not true at all. Your body just grew a human for 9 months. Your organs shifted. Your muscles stretched. Your pelvis expanded. I mean, come on. And then, whether it took 3 hours or 30, you pushed a baby out. And that's not nothing. Even if you didn't tear, which I did with my first. Even if everything went smoothly, your body still needs time. And if you did tear, which is incredibly common, you're also healing from that whilst sleep deprived, whilst feeding on demand, while processing a complete identity shift. You're now a brand new person or a brand new version of yourself as well. This gets so lost when we're thinking about birth and labour and a new baby, first baby, recovery. The identity shift gets lost. And that's such a massive part of this transition and why we are recovering as well. It's not just a physical recovery. It's an emotional recovery too. You have just become a person that you've never been before. You're a mom. So let's stop pretending that natural birth means easy recovery, because it doesn't. It just means a different recovery. And you deserve the same grace, the same rest, the same support as anyone else. Let's talk about what's actually normal here, because a lot of this stuff gets glossed over, and then you're left wondering if something's wrong with you. First, bleeding. You will bleed a lot, and it can last for weeks. That's your body healing from where the placenta was attached. Stock up on maternity pads, not the regular ones, the big ones. I was told once, I don't know if this is helpful to anyone listening, not to get regular sanitary towels. Firstly, because they're not sufficient for the need after birth. Maternity pads are much more absorbent, much longer, much thicker. But also because the fragrances in the normal sanitary towels can irritate you after birth when you're so sensitive. Just a side note tip that I was told. Secondly, the soreness. Whether you tore or not, things will feel swollen and tender down there. Sitting might be uncomfortable. Going to the toilet might be scary, and that's all completely normal. And it will get better. Third, the exhaustion. And I don't mean I could do with a nap kind of exhaustion. I mean bone deep, can't remember your own name kind of exhaustion. Your body just did something enormous. Expect to feel wiped out. Fourth, hormones. Around day 3 or 4, your hormones will crash. You might cry for no reason at all. You might feel like you've made a terrible mistake. This is the baby blues. It usually passes within a couple of weeks, but if it doesn't, please talk to someone. Again, there's nothing wrong with you here. It's just good to have that extra support if it's lasting longer than a couple of weeks. Fifth, breastfeeding challenges. If you're breastfeeding, it doesn't always click straight away, or at all for that matter. Babies fall asleep at the breast, latches can hurt, milk can take a few days to come in. None of this means that you're failing. It just means you're learning. And let me tell you this from experience. If breastfeeding does not work for you, or it's not working for you and your baby, that's okay too. More than okay. Fed is best. And sixth, the emotional weight. No one prepares you for the identity shift, for the moment that you realise that you're responsible for keeping a tiny human alive. And that's a lot. Now let's talk about the mistakes, because I made all of them and I don't want you to do the same. Number 1, don't overdo it. I know you feel useless lying on the sofa. I know you want to prove you can handle this, but your body needs rest. And if you push yourself too soon, you will pay for it later. Exhaustion hits harder and you end up in a worse place than if you just rested from the start. Trust me on this. Number 2, don't say yes to every single visitor. I made this mistake with my first baby. People wanted to come and I didn't want to seem rude, so I said yes. And then I was bleeding, exhausted, trying to breastfeed with a house full of people who expected tea and conversations and didn't really know when to leave. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to say not yet. You're allowed to say, we'll let you know when we're ready. Your baby will still be cute in 2 weeks. They can wait. Number 3, don't compare your recovery to anyone else's. This is so important. Recovery is so individual. Social media is full of women back in their jeans after a week. I was not one of those women. I've never been one of those women. Walking around like nothing happened. And good for them. Really, good for them. But that's not the standard. Your recovery is your recovery. It doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Number 4, don't ignore pain or symptoms that feel wrong. If something doesn't feel right, if you're soaking through the pads in an hour, if you have a fever, if you feel deeply hopeless, please, please, please speak up. That's what the midwives, the health visitors, the hospital, the doctors, that's what they are all there for. Call your midwife, call your GP, call the hospital. Don't leave anything. You're not being dramatic. You're being smart. There's been a few occasions after having my babies where something hasn't felt right and I've gone back to the hospital and I did the right thing. Quite a few occasions. And you do stand there like second guessing yourself, like, should I? Do I really need to? I can't be bothered. I'm tired. It's a whole faff to have to go back to the hospital, probably taking the baby as well if there's no one to look after, watch the baby, or if you're breastfeeding. But your recovery is so, so important. And you have to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, then how are you going to look after your baby? It's really as simple as that. Okay, so let's talk about what actually helps now. Firstly, rest. I'll repeat myself, real rest, not sitting on the sofa while doing a load of laundry. Actual lying down and let someone else handle everything kind of rest. Allow yourself that. Secondly, water and food. You're healing. You might be breastfeeding. You need fuel. Keep a water bottle next to you at all times. In fact, have water bottles dotted all around the house, wherever you're feeding, upstairs, downstairs. Accept every meal that someone offers to bring. And when someone asks if they can help, what they can do to help, that's a good thing to ask for. Could you make us a meal? People are so happy to help. They just want to be told what to do. And those are the kind of visitors that you want. People that are coming to take a load off of you. So that brings me to thirdly, accept help. I know you want to do it all yourself and you want to do it your way. I am guilty of that. But this is not the time for that. If someone is offering to hold the baby while you take a quick shower, say yes. If someone offers to do the dishes, say yes. If someone offers to bring food, say yes. If someone offers to fold your laundry, even if these things are not the way you would normally do it, it's only temporary. Just let people help. Fourth, gentle movement when you're ready. This is not exercise. I'm not talking about exercise, not trying to get your body back. Not exercise, not fitness. Just slow walks around the house. Maybe outside after a couple of weeks. Moving helps the healing, but do it gently. Be gentle with yourself. Fifth, emotional support. Talk to someone. Your partner, your mum, a friend, a professional if you need, another mum in the same situation as you. Don't bottle it up. The mental load of new motherhood is real, and you don't have to carry it on your own. Sometimes you don't feel like talking to anyone. It's hard to make that first conversation when you're feeling like that. But I promise you, once you start talking and you get things off your chest, you will feel so much lighter. Now, here's the part that really matters to me. Because physical recovery is one thing. But what about the rest of you? This is something that I touched on earlier. After I had my first, I remember looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. Like I didn't know who I was anymore. Not just physically. That was a shock in itself. But emotionally, mentally, I didn't know who I was. I'd gone from being Charlie with interest, opinions, lots of them, energy, to being mum. And while I loved my baby so fiercely, I also felt like I'd lost something. Like the version of me that existed before had just disappeared. No one really talks about this part. It's all about physical recovery and your hormones. No one tells you that you might grieve your old life while loving your new one at the same time. No one tells you that mum guilt starts the moment you wish you could have 5 minutes alone. No one tells you that recovery isn't just about your body healing. It's about your whole identity shifting. And that takes time. Way more time than 6 weeks. This is actually something I'm really, really passionate about. Helping mums come back to themselves. Not just survive motherhood, but actually feel like a person again. It's what I teach in Back to Me. That rebuilding, that reconnection. Because you deserve to feel like you again, not just someone's mom. So here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to need time. You are allowed to say no to visitors, ask for help, cry in the bathroom, and not feel okay. None of that makes you a bad mom at all. It makes you human, a human being, and that's what you are. Natural birth doesn't mean easy birth, and it definitely doesn't mean easy recovery. Your body did something extraordinary. Your mind is processing a complete life change. Your hormones are all over the place. Of course you're not back to normal. There is no normal anymore. There's just a new version of life, and it takes time to adjust. So please give yourself grace. Rest when you can. Accept help when it's offered and stop comparing yourself to anyone else. You're doing better than you think. That's it for today. If this episode resonated with you, if you're in the middle of recovery right now, you're about to give birth and this helped you feel more prepared, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message on Instagram, leave a comment under this podcast episode. Let me know you're listening. And if you know another mom who needs to hear this, please share it with her. Sometimes we just need to know that we're not on our own. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for listening to Chat with Charlie on Mom Matters. Find ongoing support in the Mom Matters community. Link is in the show notes, because behind every child is a mom who matters. See you next time.